Yeah, what is going on, guys? You are checking out an all new The RCWR Show. It is episode 569 coming at you guys for what is it? It's not Tuesday, is it? No, I had to kind of catch myself a little bit. I was almost tempted to say Tuesday because I literally just watched on my DVR Black Lightning. I will get into more about that series on the CW later on in the show. But no, it is Wednesday night. January the 17th, 2018. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in this Wednesday night. I don't know how you're doing it, man. Maybe you're checking it out via YouTube, as you can now see me in the flesh. For what we're doing is a test run. If you're new and you're kind of like, what's going on here? Kind of like what happened last week, because we had a couple of people that stopped on by and was like, wait a minute, what is this I'm checking out? This is kind of different from what I usually get from a man, Lee. Basically, for those of you that are not familiar with the Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show, which is basically a live radio edition that is later available as a podcast on demand on the downloads. Basically, we're bringing what we do Tuesday nights normally to you guys here on YouTube so that you're kind of feeling like you're not really left out, even though there's probably going to be some people that are going to continue to feel left out. I can't begin to tell you, like in private messages, maybe once in a blue moon, an email, but most recently it was a comment. What's up with the Impact Wrestling reviews? When you going to bring those back? And I was like, probably never. There's like no chance for that happening. And the guy was like, oh, now you're telling me. Well, thanks for reminding me why I need to unsubscribe. And it's like, if you really stop and think about it, the last time I covered Impact Wrestling just solely, like everybody remembers Impact Showdown. But I mean, with so many changes that happens with that brand, with that show, you feel so, what's the word? Disappointment is an understatement, but it just kind of gets to that point like, where's the motivation here? I'm going to talk a little bit more about Impact Wrestling, but not really bad news as far as Impact. If anything, I have some good things to say, give or take. It depends on your perspective. But hey, man, I do want to hear from you guys. I'm going to be on for the next little bit. Take your pick, man. I'm live on YouTube. I'm also live on Spreaker right now. Don't forget, the RCWR show has its own exclusive app, which you, my dear friends, can check out on the downloads right now in the Google Play Store. That's right. The RCWR show, Elise Sanders, has its own app. So if you're an Android user, hop in there in the Google Play Store, download that bad boy, have fun. One of the cool things I love about that damn app is the fact that any show that's coming your way, any show, boom, as long as you have that app, you know about it. You know when I'm live, all that. It comes directly to you, and all you got to do is just pretty much launch that app, and my babies, you are good to go, man. So for our Spreaker audience that's tuned in, they're probably hearing it. YouTube, you all are not hearing it because we have a little bit of we don't want to like get flagged with copyrights and all that other stuff. But for our Spreaker audience, we normally do our show intro. And what we've been doing the past couple of weeks is just switching it up. Honestly, I was ready to unveil the new RCWR show theme for this year. I guess you want to say maybe this season, because usually I kind of, I guess, switch it up a little bit, give or take, but I like to switch it up with the theme music, at least once a year. I like to switch it up. But we're going to unveil a new theme song. And then it was like, oh, are you serious? So for our Spreaker audience, we just got done playing the Cranberries Dreams. And I'm sure by now, like, if you know anything about alternative rock music, if you know anything about rock music, period, you grew up listening to good rock music in the 90s, early 90s in particular, or late 80s going into, like, I would say 98, you know that, and talk about a crappy way to start off 2018, we had lost the Cranberries frontman, the beautiful, I tell you, she was stunningly beautiful, and she had a voice that had matched it. Won't be another one like her. Dolores O'Riordan. We had lost her shockingly at the age of 46. Now, details about her death is very scarce right now. The family is trying to do their best to keep it as close to the vest as humanly possible. They're asking for privacy. They're asking for their respected time as a family to grieve, and that's totally understandable. But I know you got the legions of fans that's like, what's going on? What the hell happened? We know that she had spent a good number of years battling depression, suicide, and what's really haunting now is that you go back to an interview that she did, what, like a little bit over 3 years ago, where she basically had said, hey, I would be very happy if I could make it to the age of 50. And then she said in that same interview, she would love it if after she passed, she came back as an angel to help those that are in need. So the little bit that's out there right now, I mean, you could take it among yourself for discussion. You know, it's kind of like one of those beyond beliefs, fact or fiction. Like you got to choose what you want to believe and what you think might honestly be a case of some BS. But one thing is for certain, she was found deceased in a hotel room. She had just got done wrapping up a touring session, I believe, with the Cranberries. And she actually, if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me, was getting ready to go into the studio to record a rendition of, oh, I can't think of the song now. It escapes me, but she was going to do a recording of one of the Cranberries hits with a band by the name of Bad Wolf or Bad Wolves. And she didn't get to make it to that recording session as she had passed away. Those that work at the hotel, housekeepers, they basically said they have found her in the bathroom. One person had said they found her in the toilet. Now, I'll leave you up to speculate what exactly that means. You got conflicting reports being put out there saying that she was found almost in a status kind of like Elvis Presley. And we know how controversial that was. But for me personally, I don't really want to know all the gruesome details. I really don't care. I think probably what's the biggest on my mind right now, that's probably on the biggest of a lot of fans' minds is, okay, like, was drugs in play here? And like so far, the only thing we know, at least from those that's investigating this, they're saying it doesn't look like a homicide. Nothing looks suspicious. So you can't help but wonder like what exactly went down. And I would just hope that after the family has had time to grieve and they've had time to bury their own, that maybe some type of a statement could be put out just to clear the air on whatever discrepancies or concerns that fans may have. But I tell you, if you were big into rock back in the 90s, because the band didn't form until the late 80s, but I mean, they really blew the hell up. I would have to say from like 92, and they started to fizzle out just a little bit. I would say probably a little bit after 96. I mean, take your pick. Dreams, Zombie, my all-time favorite, Linger. I always get a warm glow and a smile on my face whenever I see the movie Click with Adam Sandler. And anybody that's seen that movie with Adam Sandler, great acting too by one David Hasselhoff. A lot of people had kind of looked at that as his big comeback into Hollywood, so to speak. But it's like the Hoff is, come on, that's the Hoff. He's forever, man. But no, like I remember when I saw that movie Click, and anybody that remembers it, one of the main themes that was coming about with Adam Sandler's character was how he and his wife had like first fell in love or something like that. And like that song, Linger, they just had some connection with that. And it was just so awesome seeing Dolores do just a solo rendition of that song in the movie. It was like, oh, it's like, man, she still has it. And I think back then when Click came out, my God, it seems like Click might have came out in feels like maybe 2000. Oh God. Yeah, I want to say 2000, somewhere between 2004 to 2007. Clickhead came out. So, but I mean, they had a really good string of hits. They were really popular. I remember out here in the DMV, like anytime you turned on 99.1 WHFS, which a lot of residents in the DMV area looked at it as a alternative rock station. That's pretty much what it was dubbed. Like if you needed to take a break from Metallica, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, like yeah, you turned into WHFS because you got to hear Alice in Chains, you got to hear Jane's Addiction, you got to hear Cranberries, you got to hear Bad Brains, you got to hear Blind Lemon, or sorry, Melon. You got to hear like the bands that you normally wouldn't hear on, say, like DC 101 and all of those other stations, 98 Rock. You wouldn't hear. Now it's like completely different. Now they just kind of group them all together and just say it's rock. But like back then, no, back then they really, really, really was like, okay, this is rock. This is hard rock. This is some what the hell music. It's kind of in between. We don't really know what it is, but it's got people bobbing their heads to it. And they were pretty popular, man. Always touring. I never got to see them live. They were always a band that I had wanted to see. Never had the opportunity to do so. But thoughts and prayers, man, to the family, friends, close colleagues of Dolores O'Riordan. I tell you, crappy way to kick off 2018, man. Very crappy way to kick off 2018. I really hope that this is not a taste of things to come. Because honestly, man, yeah, I did not like what went down last year with everybody that had passed. I'm gonna leave it at that. I did not like that one little bit. So we're definitely gonna lift it up a little bit. You know, I know some of you guys that were big Cranberries fans were probably down hearing that news throughout the week, maybe even leading up to tonight. But man, kick on back, man. You know how we do it, man. We kick on, have a good time, talk a little bit of something, little random stuff, you know, all that. As always, man, get at me. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. So yeah, I picked up a couple of more follows on our Facebook page. Got a couple of more likes. I appreciate that. If you guys had saw it, for those of you that are connected to Facebook, there was like a little bit of a cryptic message that I had put out there on Facebook yesterday. And it basically had said something along the lines of, hey, today begins a new day. It's a new sunrise. And with that brings new, fun, exciting challenges, new opportunities. Check it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. You know it when you see it because I actually pinned it to the top. And you kind of understood where I was coming from. But if not, I don't want to spend like 20 minutes talking about it. Or for those that were kind of like, sounds a little cryptic. I think I might know what's going on, but I'm not sure what's going on. Just the bullet points. So a lot of you guys know that I was throwing it down real hard, working count them, two full-time jobs. And really, I only had one day off a week. Y'all know your man was over here working day and night. I literally, for Christmas, popped a question to my girlfriend of 7 years, who now I officially call my fiance. And at that point, you know, I'm riding cloud nine. And the second job, which I was working overnight, I went back to my old stomping grounds, which was security. I just noticed a whole lot of things that were going down that was just kind of like, what the hell? And I mean, the bullet points, it's like you're told how to do your job in one area, in one regard. And then the next thing you know, you're being told like something entirely different. You're getting like a third degree when like some stuff goes down. I'll give you a perfect scenario. There was a store that was where I worked. And long story short, apparently the person that was that had did the lease with the management to bring the store there, they took all their belongings out of the store and they rolled out in the middle of the night. Now, conveniently, this did not go down during my shift. This apparently went down on one of my days off. Now, rather than management from the security standpoint come up with the idea of, okay, well, we need to tell management what had happened. Let's rewind the tape and let's see what had went down, like who's at fault, so we can write them up and be like, why weren't you patrolling in that area? Nah, rather than do that, they just started making this ridiculous protocol. Now, you guys tell me straight up, because I see our age demographics. It's mainly like 25 to like 50. You guys be straight up honest with me. If your new protocol, you're in security, the new protocol is anybody that you see after hours, they could be a delivery driver or whatever, and you see them and they're trying to deliver some stuff. You basically got to kind of like flag them down. You got to bring them back to the security office so they can basically get a badge or whatever. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. These drivers, they are on specific routes that they have to do, and they have to deliver their goods at a specific time, and they got to be off the clock at a certain time unless something is out of their hands, like Mother Nature, inclement weather. So ain't nobody got time to be doing all that other stuff. Then we're told, oh, all the stores that you check out, make sure that if you see anybody inside, you knock on the door, you have them come to the office, they need to sign up. Now, that don't make no sense right there in itself. You've got employees, anybody that knows a thing or two about, for example, working at Victoria's Secret, like the Victoria's Secret women, they come in at like 3, 4, sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning to begin restock, doing inventory control, setting up the displays, getting everything hooked up for the next opening day. Ain't nobody got time to be going down when you got to be clocking in at a certain time. Ain't nobody got time for that. So it's silly little protocols like that. The other thing that I had noticed was there was a lot of backstabbing. I mean, you think that in confidentiality, like you would be building some type of camaraderie with a coworker, and then you had realized, sadly, the hard way that that person that you confided in, that you trusted, they would go and tell XYZ, and then that person would come to you, hey, this person, but by the time it gets to that person, it's like magnified into like this, wait a minute, I didn't even say any of those things. So your man was just seeing some real shady BS crap that was going on, very piss poor management. I haven't even begun to scratch the surface, but I'm just going to give you the short version of that for now. Depending on my mode or mood rather, and depending on who you are, like if you're a longtime listener and I mess with you like that, you want to share some drinks and shoot the crap off air, you know, maybe do like a Google Hangout or, you know, you and me can go one-on-one or whatever. Let me know, and you know, I'll tell you a lot more about what had went down. But I kept it classy. Like if I had one regret, the vision was always to keep the job until the honeymoon and the cruise. That was always supposed to be the case. But the crap had went down, not to mention, and I really should not be saying this out in the open, but I'm now on the outside, so it doesn't matter, and I'm not mentioning the company by name, so I never do that. I never mention my employers, but I'm glad that I left because the person that is in charge of managing the security team and all that, he's been embezzling for X amount of months, and I tell you what, not good. Not good whatsoever. So when you have all that crap go down, you can kind of understand why I kind of say, you know what, you know, let me tell you the way I exited, it was pretty much I didn't even put in 2 weeks notice. And I'm normally the type of person, if I'm done, I usually say, look, I'm putting in my week's notice, but there was just so much crap that was going down. It wasn't even funny, and I just said, "Screw this, I'm done." So that's pretty much what went down. Some of you guys may actually be happy about that because you're probably thinking, "Does this mean more content for the foreseeable future?" Yeah, it all kicks off with Raw 25. I will be live after Monday Night Raw goes off the air for Raw 25 next week. I will be live exclusively here on YouTube. We'll talk about what all had came about, and it should be a fun show. And you'll still get your Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show. So I'm looking forward to that. What else can we? On that note, I think we can get into some fun. Yeah, I do hope your week has been going good. Most importantly, I hope that you aren't dealing with the same kind of drama that is funny. Me, Tammy, and Tammy's friend, we were all like exchanging jokes. We were like, God damn, what are the odds that all three of us roll out from a piss poor, poorly ran slash operated company? Like, we all didn't work for the same employer, but like, when you look at the companies that we all had hooked up with within the past 7 months, it was like, what are the odds that we all hook up with a crappy company at the same time and we all basically rolled out at like the same time? It's like, yeah, what are the odds of that? Seriously. I hope your week has been going fantastic so far. We've been getting a lot of great wrestling content. A lot of major wrestling news has been coming about, man. Let's get into it. And hey, take your pick. We got the chat on YouTube and Spreaker active right now. Shout out to Austie. Shout out to Matthew. And yes, do like my man Z9 said, download the show app. Where do y'all want to start? We'll get into the Roman Reigns in just a hot topic minute, right? Key points from Monday's WWE Raw, SmackDown as well. Look, Raw side of things, nothing really jumped out at me for this week. And I don't like saying that because you kind of notice like it's been kind of getting a little bit redundant, man. Like, I don't like coming on here saying, we kind of got another so-so episode. But like, dudes, once again, we get like a so-so episode of Monday Night Raw. And to the polls we go. We ask you, as soon as Raw goes off the air, and first dibs we do is on the communities tab section on YouTube. So you go click over there. And while you're at it, something new that we're starting to do. Now, you can do it in the chat boxes as well when the show's live. But like going forward, check the YouTube communities tab, because I'll let you guys know straight up, hey, I'm taking questions. So any questions you want me to dive into on the show, post it, let me know. And I saw one question that had kicked in. But every single time Raw goes off the air, I ask you guys straight up, what did you think of Monday's WWE Raw in our Raw poll? And so far, just by a slight margin, we got 43% of you that gave Raw a thumbs up. We got 23% of you that are giving it a thumbs down, and we have 34% of you that are staying in the middle. So far, so good. That's not really too bad. Now, for those of you that may be a little bit curious what the Twitter poll had reflected, let's see if the Twitter poll kind of reflected the same thing here. I didn't really tweet that much the past couple of days, so I should be able to pull this up with no problem. Let's see here. All right, so Twitter, I like YouTube better because I can generally get like a better vibe on YouTube as opposed to Twitter, but it's almost very similar. We got 73% on Twitter giving it a thumbs up. We got 20% giving it a thumbs down, and we have 7% of folks that are staying right in the middle. And I know we also did a poll on Facebook as well. Facebook poll is still kind of new to folks, so I'm not really going to dive into that because the numbers are like so kind of low. I'm really not going to even dive into the Facebook. I think we need to continue to build more momentum for the Facebook polling before, it's been a nice experiment though. I'll admit that. Takeaways from Monday Night Raw. Honestly, there really wasn't anything. There really was, for me personally, and I find it amazing because Raw has scored like their best viewership on this episode, like in months. It was like their highest viewership they scored like in months. So, I mean, that's kudos to them. But for me personally, it didn't really do anything for me. There really was not anything that was, oh my God. I know a lot of people were like, oh my God, Seth Rollins, he brought back the curb stomp. And you got people saying, oh, yeah, well, you know why the curb stomp happened? The curb stomp happened because Kenny Omega is going to be appearing at the Royal Rumble. He's going to be making his WWE debut. And it's kind of safe to say, unless we're proven wrong otherwise, that's not going to happen because you've got the report that's out there that apparently Kenny Omega has signed a new deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling that sees him working all of this calendar year and all of 2019. And I mean, quite honestly, look, do I feel in my heart of hearts eventually Kenny Omega, WWE? Yes, I believe without a shadow of doubt, folks, eventually Kenny Omega will be in the WWE. But what I am most concerned about with regards to a Kenny Omega in the WWE is, okay, you're in the WWE. What exactly is the short term layout for you in the WWE? See, this is the mindset, and I think now, slowly but surely, most wrestling fans that pay attention to their promotions and they kind of have an idea of who's who from what promotion, and they're kind of kicking back, going, you know, who'd fit really perfectly in the WWE realm. I think now the and you don't have to be a smart, you don't have to be a mark. And you guys know I love you all tremendously. I will never call you that, even though we have some people that'll call me that. Honestly, I don't like those labels. I don't like those terminologies. I just like saying, hey, you're a fan. That's all that matters. We're fans. You know, even the people that are performing before our very eyes, like they had to been a fan at some point to get in the ring and doing what they're doing, right? So I like to look at us all as just fans in general. And I think when you really get right down to it, fans today are getting hip. They're kind of now saying to themselves, well, yeah, that might be good as far as a payday in the WWE, but like, what's the short term plan for 6 months with that character? How are you going to exactly break this character in to the WWE realm? What programs are you going to have this talent work with in order to see if they're truly thriving on their own and they're making that connection with the WWE fan base? So I think honestly, gone are the days, or at least it's starting to become gone, are the days of give me that guy from that promotion and put him in W. No, I think now it's really coming down to, okay, yes, we'd love to have him, but what is the plan? You know, how do we set this up for this person? And yes, we know that things change all the time with regards to injuries. You know, somebody may have a wellness violation, right? And they got to go away for a hot minute. We know all this type of stuff goes down. So I see on YouTube there was a little bit of a buffering stream that had went down. If you guys experience any lag, let me know. Just comment in the chat. I do see the chat box that's open right now. But whether or not a Kenny Omega would be successful in the WWE, that's much up for debate. I think honestly, it would really depend on the caliber and talent that he would be facing, but most importantly, creatively, how strong would the writing be for him in the WWE? So, but I do think eventually he will be in the WWE. I'm talking about Kenny Omega for the simple fact so many people were like, oh my God, the curb stomp is back, the curb stomp is back. I'm not going to read too much into it. For all I know, maybe that was a one-time deal. And I mean, when you think about the finish to the match, what else was Seth Rollins supposed to do? Was he maybe supposed to pick the opponent up? And no, the opponent was on their on their knees. They were on all fours, and boom, it was just right there for the taking. By the way, that was actually a good match between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. If there was one takeaway, I actually did enjoy that. That was actually a pretty good closer. Although I didn't like the awkward ending because, like, I love how they pretty much had sold the hell out of Finn Balor taking that move. And you're like, oh man, it's obvious that move really got to him. Look, and yeah, it did look like legitimately he got put through a ringer, but I just felt that after the match, seeing the Good Brothers in there with Finn, it lingered a little bit too long because I was anticipating them attacking Finn Balor for like no apparent reason. Y'all got to admit, in retrospect, like that is how it kind of came off. So to see it just finally would seem like an eternity. I swear, after the match was over, seemed like an additional 5 minutes of Finn Balor just trying to come to. And like finally, we get the little Raw logo trademark, copyright 2018, and we get the fade to black. You're kind of like, damn, it took him long enough, hey? So nothing happened. Like, okay, all right. I thought maybe if they weren't going to attack him, maybe we were going to get some type of a banner for like hop on the WWE Network now to watch blah blah blah. But no, we didn't get any of that. So for me personally, I kind of was like, the way that match was booked, it was totally understandable why the curb stomp like. And I find it hilarious as hell that like not one wrestling website, as hot of a topic as it was about why don't we see Seth Rollins doing the curb stomp anymore, I find it kind of like, well, this is interesting that like we see the curb stomp make its return and no wrestling website out there is even mentioning like what went down. So, like for me personally, I'm not gonna buy too much into the return of the curb stomp. Now, look, for me personally, that is like a devastating move, just creatively. I love it. I love it. If you ask me personally, like how often would I like to see that move? Sparingly. Sparingly, I want to see that move because two things. One, remember the interview that Seth had gave and how he was pretty adamant. He said, I think you'll see it again someday, just not right now. And I think the powers that be have kind of loosened up on that. At the same time, however, like I don't want to see the move get spammed out like the pedigree. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like certain guys, they got like a certain move, and it's like, man, when they hit that, that is it. But for me, there's just something about the curb stomp that, like, originally, I never really was a fan of seeing it spammed week after week, pay per view after pay per view. So if you ask me booking wise, how I would like to see the curb stomp come about, honestly, it needs, if you ask me booking wise, how I would like to see the curb stomp come about, honestly, it needs to be sparingly, and it needs to be a situation where like Seth Rollins has done any and everything else. He has thrown everything out there but the damn kitchen sink, and he's got to dig into his playbook, and like there is only potentially one. That's pretty much it. And I see a couple of comments from folks. They're saying that there's a little bit of lag that's going on. Let me try this, guys. Maybe the lag is a result of some apps I got running. So bear with me 1 second, guys. I'm going to see what happens if I close a couple of apps here. And let me see here. Hang on, guys. All right. Yeah, we should be okay from here on now. So if you still get a little bit of lag, try doing the refresh button and you guys should be okay. I'm watching the stream with you guys. I just have it actually on mute and I'm mainly just paying attention to the live chat here. So we should be okay from here on out. I closed out a couple of windows. I don't know. I might close a couple of more just for the hell of it. Let me do this. It's good now? Okay, I see it's good now. I'm gonna close one more for you guys just to make sure, and we'll see if that works out. Okay. So yeah, I mean that's where I'm coming from though, with regards to that. So it needs to be special in a nutshell, is what I'm saying to you guys, as far as seeing the curb stomp. It's like, my God, we haven't seen the curb stomp in 3 months. You think Steph's going to do it tonight? It needs to be kind of like one of those special type of moments. So if you ask me honestly, when's the next time I would like to see the curb stomp again? I would like to see the curb stomp. I would like to see the curb stomp at WrestleMania. Quite honestly, WrestleMania, I would love to see the curb stomp again. Other than that match, seeing the curb stomp return, how about that Kevin Dunn, Braun Strowman production? Where do I even begin with that? Boy, I tell you. Okay, so we get Braun Strowman, who basically kicks off Monday Night Raw pretty much, and I actually loved it. I love that we had like these mini sub chapters that basically was like, okay, Braun's out, he's pissed, what's going on? And we've got Kurt Angle basically telling Braun Strowman, yo, man, because of the actions that you did last week to Kane, Brock Lesnar, my God, there's serious consequences that need to be paid. I mean, you endangered their lives, you put trainers, officials' lives at risk. I can't have this. You're fired. And like you see Braun Strowman, who's like so freaking pissed off, and he's like, "Nah, man, you fire me?" It's like, and he is just on a freaking rampage, destroying things left and right. And we see what he does with that semi truck, right? And like now, I can officially say it. For the longest time, and I didn't want to speak about it because I thought maybe I might have been reaching a little bit. But now when I go back and I connect the dots and I just think about the Kevin Dunn production aspect, the way and see, it could be a good thing. It could be a good thing if you want to look at it as a good thing. But for me personally, I don't like how cartoony that Brock, I was about to call him Brock, that Braun Strowman is starting to become. Because you know what the semi truck reminded me of? You know what the whole grappling hook incident from last week had reminded me of? You know what the whole Braun Strowman being put in the garbage dumpster truck, but then like a week or whatever later, for like some booking wise, it didn't even make any sense. We see Braun Strowman show up to extract revenge on Ms. Taraj in a different dumpster truck. So wait a minute, you got buried in one dumpster truck, and like when we see you, I don't know, a week later, you somehow are able to get out of that one dumpster truck, but like you climb into another dumpster truck to try to extract revenge. I'm trying to make sense of that booking wise, but in either case, the way you emerge from that to get your revenge, just combine all of those things. If you had to just look at the Braun Strowman character, you look at those scenarios that I had mentioned, what iconic pop culture character does that remind you of? Just stop and think for a second. Think about everything that you have seen and you've experienced in pop culture. What does Braun Strowman remind you of? He reminds me of the 1970s live action The Incredible Hulk with the late Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. And I swear to frickin' God, I think every single time Kevin Dunn sees him some Braun Strowman, he thinks Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk. And nothing was more evident to me than seeing Braun Strowman out of that damn dumpster truck and the way he just rose up, kind of like when the Hulk transforms and he's just, you he rips the shirt off and he starts moving all slow and all that. And like we see what he did with the semi truck, this freaking Monday. And I'm going, God damn, you gotta love that Kevin Dunn production. Like, so much for the sense of realism. And maybe I'm a stickler for detail, especially now that I'm getting kind of up there in age. And not that I'm an old man, it's just when you've seen so much and you've had your fair share in writing short stories and all that, like you're one to always kind of, oh, wait a minute, I gotta make sure I take care of this because the reader's gonna want to know what happened from this standpoint if I'm going here. So you always gotta make sure that everything connects, right? Like me and any of my friends will tell you this, especially my friends that like are in business for themselves, writing their own and selling their own comic books and all that. Brian and his man Ronald, like when you write that first issue, every issue that you do going forward, everything needs to always be able to connect back to that first issue, right? Everything needs to somehow be able to connect to that first issue, no matter what. And like each story that you tell, like you're connecting the dots as you go along, but like your blueprint is that number one, your blueprint is that pilot, and that's pretty much how you go. The more, see, it's one thing if you're going to create a situation, if you're going to create an environment where you're letting the viewer come up with these questions that they know for a fact they have to continue to read or they have to continue to watch. That's one thing. But when you have a situation like Braun Strowman lifting this semi truck and the ridiculous freaking camera angles every 5 goddamn seconds, man. I mean, come on. That, like I know in real life, Braun Strowman is not putting his back out like that. That ain't happening. It ain't happening. Let some other guy that's gonna get paid a couple of grand or 100 grand or whatever. Let them actually go out there, put a non-disclosure thing out there. Let them actually do the real thing. There's competitions for that. But somebody on the WWE payroll doing something like that, it ain't happening. Now, I love the suspension of disbelief. Don't get me wrong, folks. I love it as much as the next person. At the end of the day, I'm like you guys. I want to be entertained. Are you not entertained? I want to be entertained. But at the same time, do not ridicule my intellect. And to see every 5 seconds a different camera angle of Braun Strowman lifting this damn semi truck, for me, that was just Kevin Dunn production overkill. I could have done without it, period. Could have done without all that. But I mean, despite that, I couldn't even really enjoy it. I was looking forward to it, but the Kevin Dunn production, it just really, I was like, I wasn't cool with it. It was interesting seeing him go to the production truck, kicking the people out. I actually would have liked it if he would have hijacked Raw for a couple of hours. I would have loved to hear him take over the commentator's microphone and be like, who are these two sorry losers in the ring? Nobody wants to see this. Let's see a KFC commercial instead, because I'm hungry. I would have loved to see like some spot like that, which reminds me, I didn't exactly care for the spot with the guy holding cake, but I liked it. I mean, hey, think about it. Braun's a big dude. Big guys got to eat. It was a nice little spot. I like that. And what's his new catchphrase? Come get these hands. I love that. I need to see a t-shirt on that. I love that. But despite all that silliness, they're still doing a rather good job with Braun Strowman, I personally feel. And I tell you what, with what all had recently went down with this new Roman Reigns allegation, I'm going to be paying very close attention to this triple threat match for the Universal Championship. What is it, a week and a half away now that we got coming up with the Royal Rumble? So again, we'll get into the Royal Rumble later, but not in this episode, next week. But the Roman Reigns, we'll get into that in a hot second. Braun was good. Other than that, really wasn't anything else for me noteworthy from Raw. I mean, it felt like a so-so episode. I enjoyed. I heard about it originally on social media, but it was great seeing the video package because that's what I look forward to the most is the video package that we get whenever we hear, hey, this person is going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Bill Goldberg going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Honestly, I have no problem with it. I know that we have some people that's kind of like, well, hell, man, if there was a WCW Hall of Fame, like, and trust me, I agree with you guys 100%. But like for those that are a little bit upset that Bill Goldberg is going into the WWE Hall of Fame, because you'd be surprised. You have legit WWE anti WWE fans, I should say, that like honestly, they'll tell you, hey man, Goldberg's first run in the WWE, I mean, the first couple of months, it was pretty hot and all that when he was feuding with The Rock and Chris Jericho, Triple H, Evolution. Yeah, all that was banging leading up to his match with Brock Lesnar. But you had some moments in between that was kind of like, what the hell are they doing with Goldberg? Some people may be like, yo, man, why the WWE Hall of Fame? But me personally, I do not have a problem with it because just as they did with the video package, and kudos to WWE. I mean, they presented everything to you that you needed to know about Goldberg and the impact that he had made on professional wrestling. And for WWE to give Goldberg those respected props, I mean, seriously, that shows a lot. To me, that shows from just the maturity standpoint how far along WWE has come along because, I mean, come on, let's be honest. Nobody was sitting up 15, 20 years ago, pretty much after WCW went out of business and was going, oh, well, it's okay. I have a feeling that when the history books open and in WWE's Hall of Fame, at least, nobody was saying that. Nobody even entertained that idea. Nobody entertained that idea. So for Bill Goldberg to get that nod, just everything. And man, I'm telling you, I can remember being a little kid and I first came across Bill Goldberg. I'm like, damn, who's that dude? I mean, I see this big, cockstrong, bald head looking dude, nice, cool, sharp looking goatee, nice washboard abs. And I mean, he just has this look in his eyes like he is a freaking killer. I mean, this guy looks like as soon as the bell rings, lights out, you're dead. And sure enough, and I'm going, who the hell is this guy? And I mean, week after week after week. I mean, the highlight was just Bill Goldberg. I can literally remember going to school the next day. Man, you saw that dude, Goldberg? And we all just, and we did hear a couple of people, there was nothing impressive. He just took that person out in like 3 seconds. And it's like, yeah, but the way the dude took him out, like, this is the real deal. And it just like started becoming wildfire. But then, like, what was even more hilarious was like, well, not hilarious, but like it was cool how originally naturally the streak had began, but then it started to become just hilarious. Like, okay, so we're done with WCW Monday Night Nitro, but then like somehow in the past 7 days, Goldberg jumps from like 110 to like 125, and you're like, what the hell was Goldberg doing in like the past 7 days to like go up that high? Like, and the numbers just kept getting ridiculous like that. But like, we didn't care. We're like, hey, that's the man, that's the mystique. And I mean, to finally see him become WCW World Heavyweight Champion on that infamous episode of Nitro in Atlanta. Boy, I tell you, on the one hand, and I remember that night when it went down. I remember watching it. I mean, I was one of those type of kids, as was everybody back then. If you were not watching Monday Night Raw, which back then it was pre-taped and all that, but as we all know, it eventually go live. But like, if you weren't taping Raw and watching Nitro, and then once Nitro was done, then you watch Raw on tape, you were doing it vice versa. So I remember the night that Goldberg had beat the Hulkster for the belt and Atlanta at that dome, and just the number of people that were there in attendance, and like, this was Goldberg's moment, the excitement. I mean, it was a great moment, but like, you couldn't help but say, damn, like, I know WCW's trying to do what they need to do to keep winning the war and the ratings, but goddamn, like, you could have had like a whole bunch of people pay to see this on pay-per-view. Like, seriously? Like, did you have to do that? Like, and even in later years, like Bischoff and all them, they was like, yeah, they try to justify why they went in that direction, but I mean, that was so much missed money. So much missed money. It wasn't even funny. A lot of historical moments in Goldberg's career at WCW. I loved it tremendously when he had finally came to the WWE. I said it way back when it first had came about, but I'm sure if things could have changed differently from the WWE landscape, it really would have been great had Goldberg been part of the WCW invasion in WWE. Because I mean, you talk about notable figures. I mean, remember Sting wasn't even in there, right? So, but I tell you, would have been great to have him in there. But to see him come in a couple of years later and he pretty much kicks things off. What's that with Dwayne the Rock Johnson? I mean, it don't get no better than that. You want to get established real freaking quick, reestablished at that. I mean, that's pretty much how you do it. And I tell you what, as far as his first run in the WWE, I'm gonna go out there because I've always been a longtime Bill Goldberg fan, and I'm gonna say that his career in the WWE, the first go round, despite a few hiccups, aside from a few silly booking decisions, it was an enjoyable run in the WWE. I will definitely admit that. And I mean, shoot, when you look at some of the matches that he had, when you just kind of look at your watch, his matches in WWE had lasted a lot longer than the matches that he had in WCW. I mean, he was working. That boy was working when he was in the WWE. So I'm looking forward to seeing him take his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm curious who's going to be inducting him into the Hall of Fame. I wonder if maybe it's going to be a situation where potentially Sting could be the one to do it. If not Sting, could it potentially be Eric Bischoff? um it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder who exactly would do the honors. So if you ask me honestly, who I personally would like to see do the deed, I want the WCW connection. So for me, I personally would love to see Sting do it. But if Sting wasn't available to do it, oh man, maybe. Hmm. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I would like to see Sting and Lex Luger induct Goldberg into the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to explain to you the reason why. The reason why is because Goldberg had ran into Lex Luger and Sting at a gym, if I remember the story correctly. And they pretty much, took a look at him and they pretty much were like, dude, you like need to get into professional wrestling ASAP. Like, we're gonna give you some connections and like you need to do this. Like, you'd have a really good career. And then so pretty much if it wasn't for those two guys, like he never probably would have stepped foot in pro wrestling. So the rest is pretty much history, as they pretty much say. Could maybe potentially a Hugh Morris induct Bill Goldberg? I know there's probably some people that's like Hugh Morris, because he was the first victim. Nah, I mean that's wishful thinking, but no, I would like to see Lex Luger and Sting. So my runner-ups, it would definitely be Lex Luger, Sting. Honorable mention would go to Eric Bischoff, and if I could think of one more honorable mention, maybe just maybe Chris Jericho. That's a wild card, but maybe Chris Jericho. He would possibly be one as well. So, see SmackDown. I saw SmackDown yesterday. So I see for the United States Championship, we have a new champion, and it's that young kid, Bobby Roode. Good for Bobby. I'm a little bit curious though, what next of one, what's his name? I wanted to say the Subway guy, because every time I look at him, I think about the interview that he gave, and he said, I probably, if I didn't come back to WWE, I'd probably open up a Subway restaurant somewhere. He actually said that, and I've been looking at him as a Subway guy ever since. Yes, I am actually drawing a blank on his name right now. Isn't that sad? Yeah, Jinder Mahal. Yeah, Jinder Mahal. Don't everybody scream his name at me at once. So, um, Steve Austin, Rob Nation. Why would Steve Austin? I mean, they're best friends, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But when you think about the tenure of Bill Goldberg's run in WCW, Steve Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, Steve Austin wasn't there when Bill Goldberg was like, they just missed each other, right? I mean, I see for me, see, you guys are thinking different than I'm thinking. I'm looking for the WCW bridge and, those that like worked with Goldberg for a big bulk of those years and all that, that could really help bridge it. Also, these were guys that worked in the WWE, but they were mainly like, because that's what's really going to have to sell. I mean, you guys got to remember when Bill Goldberg was in the WWE, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, at least 1 year he was with the WWE, like one freaking full year, and pretty much he was done after that. And we wouldn't see him again until like years later or whatever. Yeah, as a matter of fact, he came to the WWE. My memory's kind of coming back. I want to say it was like 2003, 2004. So he only did like one freaking year. So meanwhile, you look at his tenure in WCW, and WCW, I mean, that pretty much was like 96 right on up to like 2001. I mean, he was injured there for a hot minute, and he wasn't even at the power plant that long. I mean, he was at the power plant for like, God, man, I don't even want to say 6 months. I mean, they pretty much was like, this dude's money, put him out there. Boy, he ain't had enough. Put him out there. We got money right here. And they pretty much was like, let the kid figure it out. So I'm kind of thinking from that standpoint, but Steve Austin, you know what? I'll put him on the list. They are good friends, but I'm going for the WCW connection because you got to have somebody that can explain to the younger WWE fan base, hey, this is why this guy was a big deal. And that could basically give testaments because of their respected runs in WCW, about like, man, this guy. That's why I was mentioning Sting, Luger, Bischoff, because Bischoff was to a certain degree. Yeah, when Bischoff, yeah, Bischoff, he kind of had a little bit of troubled waters in WCW, but that still like went down during his watch as well. So, but Steve Austin, that's a good honest runner up. I mean, if anybody can talk about the early days of WCW, he definitely could, even though they passed each other. I think as Steve Austin exited, I want to say that's when Bill Goldberg was like right there. As a matter of fact, yeah, yeah, because Steve Austin, you think about the Attitude Era, yeah, so they definitely had missed each other. See, you guys are drawing my damn cobwebs out of my brain tonight, man. You guys are testing my memory right here, man. Yeah, I was talking about Jinder Mahal though. Jinder Mahal. What next? That's all I'm saying, man. I mean, that's great for the young kid Bobby Roode to become the new United States champion. But like, what's truly next? Is Jinder Mahal going to continue to pursue Bobby Roode? Like, look, the verdict is still out early, but I mean, if you ask me honestly, seeing Jinder Mahal not win, it just kind of made me go, damn. I mean, if there was any way to like, okay, this guy's right back in the mix of things. Here you go, United States champion. I told you the ideas that I have for Jinder Mahal. I'm not going to rehash it again. I believe there's a couple of clips on the YouTube channel via Epic Sports that you guys could actually check out. And I made very, very good, valid points. So, I mean, you guys could easily go back, check it out. But like, I'm just kind of scratching my head right now. And honestly, I kind of am under the impression that maybe Dolph Ziggler may be coming back a lot sooner than we anticipated. Maybe he's going to be feuding with Bobby Roode over the title. I mean, who knows? But I hope that does not happen because nobody has really been given 2 cents about that feud, in all honesty. So, see what other stuff can we get into here. Oh, hey, one thing that I thought was very, very interesting, and I honestly do not see that many wrestling websites talking about this, but for those of you that may be a little bit curious, you remember how a couple of weeks back that former porn actress Mia Khalifa, she had crapped on wrestling and she had talked about how fake it was, and she had got a offer to come to a wrestling event. Well, she did go to that wrestling event, and let's kind of recap it for you guys just a little bit. Make sure you guys are, kind of caught up to speed. I'm not going to go over the entire, like pretty much what all had led up to it or whatever. But basically, you had Thunder Rose. She had invited Khalifa to attend the Sabotage Wrestling's War of the Genders 2 show in Texas. So she had a little countdown thing that came about, and eventually, she finally did go to the event. And shortly after she went to the event, now she was just there in attendance. But after it was all said and done, she jumped out there and she pretty much had said, like, hey, as far as my view goes, I still feel the same. Um, like it's still fake as shit. You know, this is pretty much what she had. Actually, I don't see a direct tweet, but one thing that she did say with regards to her remarks about Ronda Rousey, she had replied, and I quote, people take things so seriously. I have no hate towards wrestlers. I just love talking shit. She just loves talking shit. And, regardless, that did not stop some people from coming at her and saying, hey, look, until you actually get in there and you physically take the bumps, like you honestly really should not be talking, and honestly, I think if she really meant well and if she really was just talking shit, then like you really got to make sure you put the right image out there. I mean, if you're just trying to play up a heel act or whatever, look, I commend you for that. If it's a situation where in real life you're actually friends with a lot of wrestlers and all that, then it's kind of like, hey, all right, that's cool. Maybe this was quietly your way of trying to break into the business, kind of make a name for yourself and all that in the process. Okay, all right, cool. But like, honestly, I think she's doing a rather piss poor job of playing it off. Honestly, she got her ass handed to her. And rather than admit, hey, okay, you know what, these guys were actually kind of right. I see what they're now doing and everything. Okay, okay, they got my respect. I see that. No, see, it doesn't matter. I could say wrestling is fake. You all could say wrestling is fake all you want. And like, unless somebody like says to you, okay, here, you are my guest. You're gonna be able to come backstage. I want you to actually be my tag team partner, or I actually want you to come in to this training academy school for a 3-day event. You're gonna take bumps just like all these current prospects that's trying to make it into our academy school for training, and you're gonna see what it's like. I'm sorry, just telling somebody, hey, you're invited to come to our show, here's some tickets, and you get a nice ringside seat, that don't mean nothing. I mean, honestly, it's just piss poor marketing. That's all it is. It's piss poor cross branding when it's all said and done. Let's see somebody really jump out there and invite her to a training academy to bust her ass for a couple of weeks, and let's see how she feels then. Keep in mind, this girl is getting ready to launch a sports show or something like that. So, yeah. And for those of you that may be a little bit curious, because I know we have vintage RCWR show listeners that may remember some of my colorful and candid early years talking with the porn stars. As far as have I checked out any of her porn, I didn't think I did. But then when I typed in her name and I just decided, okay, let me like look at some of the porn. One of the porns I did recognize her in, and I kind of was like, oh, that was her. And the one I'm talking about is the joint where she plays a Arab that knocks on the door of some black dude, and the black dude comes to the door, and I think his wang is hanging out of his boxers clear as day, and she's like, "Oh, hi, I'm your next door neighbor. I just wanted to introduce myself." And he's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm just now waking up." And I think she said something like, "Oh, I see." And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful." And he tries to tuck it back in. And she's like, "Oh no, it's okay." And next thing you know, she's slobbing on the brother. Check it out. It was actually pretty good. No, but like, I mean, she's okay, but like, if you ask me as far as what I look for in a porn actress when it comes to my porn, yeah, I will occasionally still check out porn, and those of you guys that are like, "Porn, that's that's the devil's bullshit." Don't even try that. Damn well you watch it. Not my type. Too enhanced, not exactly cute. Um, yeah, very, very too enhanced looking for me. Just too enhanced. I'm a sucker for the natural beauty. And when I say natural beauty, I'm a sucker for the natural enhanced breast. Naturally, you got big breasts, right? I'm a sucker for the natural pretty faces. All right, hey, good. Ain't got no Botox going on. Ain't getting no, liposuction, tummy tuck, facelift, none of that silly little crap. Because you can tell, man. I mean, some of these porn stars, man, they just don't know. But you look at guys like Ron Jeremy, they're like, I don't give a. You gonna take care of this joint. I don't care how old I am. I don't care how big my gut is. I'm Ron Jeremy. This is my joint called Ron Jeremy. You need to get on it right now. You want to make a name for yourself? Let me introduce you to the Ron Jeremy stick. I mean, you see Ron Jeremy? Ron Jeremy does not give a flying you know what. Ron Jeremy gonna be Ron Jeremy gonna be, why I get plenty of tail. Why I even get white tail. I mean, Ron Jeremy gonna be like that until he's in his goddamn wheelchair. I mean, just picture Ron Jeremy. Nowadays he's got kind of like that perverted, kind of cringe-worthy voice nowadays. How you doing, hon? Yeah, you know who I am? Yeah? Yeah, I'm Ron Jeremy. Yeah. I'm the guy with the big stick. Yeah. You gonna take care of it? You gonna take care of it like it's cotton candy? Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, well, get on your knees. Get on your knees. Show Ron Jeremy what you can do. Come on. Come on. That's it. Right around. Yeah, get the edges real good. Like it's candy, I mean, fucking seriously, man. Seriously. Oh, God. Let's see here. I'm looking at some of the comments we got right now in the YouTube chat here. I see some mentions for Ric Flair. I see Booker T. I see a vote for Jericho. I see Diamond Dallas Page. I like what Gino is saying with regards to Mia. If Mia gets in the ring, she will see that some of pro wrestling is real. Let's see here. Austin, you can admit it, man. Austin said, I'm not going to admit whether I have watched her work or not. You guys are a trip, man. You guys are a trip. All right, so let's see. What other topics can we get into? We still got tons more stuff we can get into, man. Should we go on ahead and get into this Roman Reigns controversy, or should we hold that off a little bit longer? I'll tell you what. I'll get into Roman Reigns in two more topics for you guys. This is the thing I love about this show. It's not scripted, right? I mean, I'm just like kicking back with you guys. It's like we're having a conversation. We're just kicking back. We're chilling. We're having a good time, having some laughs, right? And I have an idea in my head what I want to talk about. But like, as far as what I'm going to say, it's never rehearsed. So that's what you get with the RCWR Show Live. Usually every Tuesday night. But for this past week, I had decided to come on Wednesday. One, I had came down with another chess code. I know, right? Well, here's the thing. The chess code came from... Ooh, this is like, you got to stay with me, you got to follow the dots now. Okay. So Tammy's mom was sick. So when Tammy's mom came up, Tammy got the code from her mom. And so I got the code from Tammy. So that's how it pretty much had went down. Except mine ended up being a lot worse because I also had a case of bronchitis and I was on Mucinex. I was drinking hot toddies. I was taking Dayquil and NyQuil. What else was I taking? I was drinking plenty of orange juice because that's like the best medicine. I was taking those new gummies. They're like vitamin D gummies. I don't know who makes them. I want to say Nature Made or whatever, but they're supposed to help boost your immune system and all that. So I was actually taking that as well.
And it lingered a lot longer due to the fact that I was working outside overnight when I was still with the other gig. And I was sweating it out real bad, profusely, that it wasn't even funny. And I know we probably got some guys that's checking out the live stream right now and they're going, Lee, what the hell are you doing? Well, I'm trying to play around here with this damn suspension boom here. And for some reason, the damn thing is acting like it doesn't want to freaking do what the hell it's supposed to do. So I tell you what, we're just going to try this since it wants to act special right now. And I think that might have did the trick. So we'll see if we can do that. And I got to adjust the volume a little bit here. All right, let's try that again. So, almost drew a blank. I said we get into Roman Reigns, and yeah, so it was actually good that I was sick. And see, the other thing, I was trying to figure out if we were still going to do the interview with Kayfabe Commentaries Sean Oliver. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if Sean had came down with an emergency or what, but like this is what had happened in a nutshell. Me and Sean were supposed to sit down last week and we were supposed to do an interview. And we were supposed to talk about his new book and everything. And I had heard back from Sean like a day before our chat. And Sean was like, hey man, sorry, but some stuff had came up. Maybe we can do something next Tuesday. I could come on live. And I emailed him back and I said, yeah, if you want to do something on Tuesday, like that's no problem whatsoever. Like, okay, well, so is it a lock? Like you want to do the 16th? And I never heard back from Sean. So I ended up getting a lot sicker after that. I mean, probably after that last email exchange, and I'm waiting for Sean. I got like sick 2 days after that. I mean, it just went in full effect, like wham. And I would have to say that probably by, I want to say yesterday morning, maybe afternoon, I hit Sean up. I said, hey, I never did hear back from you. Are like we still okay for this interview? We still gonna do it? Because I didn't hear back from you. And honestly, being honest, I feel like total crap right now. I'm still pretty sick. You know, I just came down bronchitis and all that. I'd hate to give a half-assed interview to the listeners. That just would not be fair to them. You know, they're going to be able to hear that I'm not really at 100%. You know, I think I might be good in a day or so. Like, if you want to try something, how's your schedule looking for this coming week? And I didn't hear back from him yet. So I'm hoping that nothing urgent had came about at his end and that he's doing pretty good. I can tell you from past experience, Sean and his people, total freaking pros. You know, usually, I mean, the guys are running their own freaking company, man. So, I mean, I'm not like some people. I've been waiting 3 days now. What's going on? I'm not doing that stupid shit. So, you know, I'm sure whenever things kind of get nice and calm, we'll hear back from them and everything. But I am actually still going to be giving away 2 copies of Sean Oliver's new book. My God, I actually had checked out the audio version on the iPad. I didn't buy it, but I was curious, like the length of the audio, which is actually narrated by Sean. 7 hours and 58 minutes. Yeah, 7 hours and 58 minutes for the audio book. And if I were to just add up like all the time I've spent reading the book so far, that sounds about right. It should honestly, it's a quick read. Like if you're, you know, well, now I have a little bit more free time since I'm done with one job. But like before, I could only, between the 2 jobs, I could only get in, if I was lucky, maybe about 30 minutes of reading at one job, and then maybe on the way home from the other job, I'd be able to squeeze in like an additional 30 minutes, and then, that pretty much would be done. If you ask me where I'm at right now, I'm like at the halfway point of the book. So I'm actually pretty much almost done. I would say I'm probably going to be done with the book this coming weekend. I'm probably most likely going to be done with it. So, but I'm actually going to be giving away 2 copies of the book. I haven't quite figured out how I want to set it up yet. I guess I'm going to kind of rely on you guys on, how maybe we should set the contest up. I mean, should we maybe do something like Patreon? Everybody like that wants to get a copy of the book should like they enter $1 and maybe enter that way. Should it be a situation where I don't know, it should be a Facebook giveaway? You gotta like the page to be entered. I want to do something that like I know for a shadow of doubt will make you, the longtime listeners, you that are definitely fans of the show, be like, hey, Lee's doing this cool contest for us, the listeners, because we are the ones that's doing this every single week. Because I kind of had to learn the hard way when we were doing contests in the past. We had everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry that would be jumping out there from out of the woodworks and like, wait, I know this person doesn't check out my show. What the hell? And like the next thing you know, they'd get the prize. You never hear from them again. And that's how you knew, yeah, that definitely was not a listener. That was just somebody that like, and some guys might be okay with that. But like me personally, nothing makes me feel, and I think you should all feel the same way as well, but nothing makes me feel kind of more cheated than like somebody that basically took a prize away from a real listener of the show. Nothing upsets me more than that, because it's like, hey, here's a person that, even if they've just been listening to an episode every other week, they're still a casual listener. Like, for them to not be given that opportunity, and Mohammed from Siberia or wherever, who never listens to the show, I saw that you were giving away Stone Cold DVD. I wanted to enter contests, and I won. Give me a book now. Like, yeah, no, gone are those days. So if you all are able to come up with some really good ideas, I'd love to hear them. You can get at me all throughout social media. If you're on YouTube, you could post all that good stuff. So let's get into some more wrestling headlines. Yeah. So I have one more topic I want to get into before I get into this whole freaking thing about Roman Reigns. And right now, if you're an Impact Wrestling fan, these are some interesting and troubled times that we're living in right now, at least for Impact Wrestling. And some may look at it as a bad thing. Others may look at it as, okay, here is once again another challenge for Impact Wrestling. So, first, releases, or departures rather. So, we have Bobby Lashley. He pretty much wrapped things up with Impact Wrestling. He's done. We have Ethan Carter III. He wrapped things up with Impact Wrestling. Just when you think Impact Wrestling is done with that stupid ass concept, Feast or Fired, they brought it back. And I tell you, I never liked the concept Feast or Fired. Never. I never have liked it. And if you don't believe me, you can go back and you can check out earlier episodes of Impact Showdown on my YouTube channel page. And I have been always very adamant. I've always been vocal about Feast or Fired, bad concept. Yeah, I don't like it. And for those that like have never watched the episode of Impact Wrestling or whatever, and you're kind of like Feast or Fired, what is this? Think WWE's Money in the Bank, but it's also like it meets Deal or No Deal. And like there's usually 4 briefcases. One briefcase has a shot for the World Heavyweight title. Another briefcase has a shot for the tag titles. Another briefcase has a shot for the X Division title. And the 4th briefcase, you're fired. So like you're going, wait, there's actually a briefcase with a pink slip? And it's like, yeah. And sometimes I used to when it was in its early inceptions, I used to look at the Feast or Fire thing as, well, maybe they're just trying to figure out a way to repackage a character. And if it was a situation like maybe Christopher Daniels and boom, he's Curry Man, you're kind of like, oh, okay, cool. But nah, man, like sadly, when you saw that wrestler had the fired briefcase, they were gone. Unless you were Christopher Daniels and you did Curry Man. I loved his Curry Man. Even AJ Styles, and I still remember it. It was on that infamous shoot DVD he had did a couple of years back. I want to say he did the shoot for maybe it was the shoot he did for High Spots. I'm not really sure because I got both that he did that same year that he rolled out from TNA. I got both the joints he did for RF Video and the joint he did for High Spots. And even he was pretty adamant about the whole Feast or Fire, talking about how it's so disrespectful of a concept, you know? And I agree with him. I never did understand it. And honestly, with a team of writers, surely there's like any other way humanly possible that like creatively and fun and like, oh, this is a great way to write off a character for now, at least, right? You would exploit that and not just give somebody a goddamn pink slip on television. I digress though, but EC3, he's pretty much wrapped up the tapings and all that. He's done. Took his final bow, he rolled out. Dixie Carter had commented on it, and the way things are looking right now, you got reports saying that it looks as though EC3 is potentially going to be coming to the WWE, which kind of helps explain why he had did maybe the trademark for EC3, maybe putting Impact Wrestling's, what is it? They're having them eat their own words. I think that's really the right terminology we want to be using right now, because you got Impact Wrestling saying, yeah, the character that you make, the name, blah, blah, blah. Once you roll out, oh, yeah, no problem. You can take that with you to whatever other promotion. No problem whatsoever. Well, if that's the case, then EC3 is going to benefit big time as a result of this. So a lot of people are under the impression that maybe he'll pop up at the Royal Rumble. You got me. I mean, first off, the Royal Rumble is going to be happening in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a smart crowd. They know their wrestlers. Would that be the place to do it? Yeah, but in the Royal Rumble itself, no. I am looking at a scenario of, NXT weekend, and it basically being a scenario. Oh my God, what the hell is EC3 doing here in NXT? I'm looking at that type of a scenario. quite honestly. Speaking of which, I have not watched me some NXT in a couple of weeks. I really gotta like catch up on that bad boy. Yeah, cause make sure I am correct. Yeah, we got an NXT takeover event that's coming up. Takeover Philadelphia. That's going to be from the Wells Fargo Center. And some of the matches that we got right now, I'll actually get into that in Royal Rumble next week. That way we kind of have a better idea how the final card is starting to shape up. But I would suspect that if you're going to try to get EC3 over, I would, trust me, guys, nothing would please me more than to see him pop up in the Royal Rumble. Before the WWE universe, like as a whole, I don't think it would go over that well. But you just show EC3 in a suit, just sitting there, front seat with the rest of the crowd, and they're just, oh my God, what is EC3 doing here? That's all you need. That's all you need. It sells itself. I mean, the writing's on the wall. EC3, NXT. And I honestly would have no problem with that whatsoever. And you guys should not be so quick to want to see EC3 on one of the main flagship shows right now, because it has been so ice cold with some of your favorites right now. It's not even funny. So at least if the man is coming up through NXT, you could be like, well, you know what? It's NXT, but at least I know in Hunter's hands, it's going to be entertaining, right? I mean, we can all admit that. You look at NXT and they got a lot of cool, colorful, interesting story arcs, characters, and all that's going on. They're booking it rather smart. Yeah, like let EC3 pop up over there. Now, as far as Lashley, probably Lashley didn't really leave on bad terms with the WWE. Like, as far as like, it wasn't like a Ultimate Warrior type of deal, right? Like the circumstances, if I remember it right, and I'm like dusting off the cobwebs in my memory here. I really should have researched it just to refresh my memory. But I like doing this from time to time. I like testing my memory out. All right. Now, Vince McMahon, loved him some Bobby Lashley. He took one look at this guy and he was like, this is it. This is my next money making. This is my pet project right here. If there was ever an African American, if there was ever a black man, if there was ever a black man, not no mixed dude, all right? Not no half Samoan, half black, half white, half Puerto Rican, biracial. No. If there was ever in modern day time, a black man that Vince McMahon was like, God damn, I gotta have me some of that guy, it was Bobby Lashley. Point being, I remember when Vince McMahon had did that whole McMahonism. Remember that? McMahonism. That was like popping. I was loving that. And he was the ECW champion. And he was feuding with Bobby Lashley. I mean, this dude. Now, you know, when Vince McMahon comes off his high throne and you are in a storyline with him, Vince McMahon sees something in you. He's got faith in you. He's trying to give you that Midas touch, right? And it really seemed like, and I remember when Bobby Lashley, didn't he get recruited to Raw or something like that? Because I remember some scenario going down where, like, because he got recruited to Raw, he could no longer be the ECW champion or something like that. So he had to vacate it as a result, something of that nature. Really seemed like he was going up there in the right direction. And if he would have stayed in the WWE, then possibly, who knows? We never really will know, but it all signs indicated that Vince saw a really good, strong career with this guy. And you remember the Battle of the Billionaires, Vince McMahon, Donald Trump. Donald Trump had Lashley in his corner. Vince McMahon had Umaga in his corner. You remember the scenarios that had came about. Now, I remember there was something involving Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes had used some colorful language. He had called Lashley the N-I E-R. I mean, the hard E-R, not the with the A. He called him but when he called him that, it pretty much was one of those, "What's up, my jigger?" You know, it was one of those type of deals. And Lashley was about damn near ready to beat the living hell out of him. So, he was looking for some type of disciplinary action and all that to be taken on Michael Hayes, and it didn't happen. And like, honestly, after that, Bobby Lashley just really started to weigh his options and just honestly felt like, okay, you know what? WWE, I'm not feeling them anymore. I want to go test out some other avenues. So, you know what? Yeah, I'm done here. Bump this. I'm done. Let me try out a little bit of MMA. And I remember way back then when Lashley did leave the WWE, I remember this vividly. And you all probably will as well, if you remember your wrestling history, right? There was a brief period of time where Bobby Lashley had, like, the early days of his website, there would be like some type of a forum section or whatever, and you could post like little comments or whatever, and he would tell you some random things that he's been thinking or whatever. And I remember there was one joint he had posted where he talked about how he wasn't really sure if he should continue to pursue a career in pro wrestling, or if maybe he should look into mixed martial arts, if maybe he should try to patch things up with the WWE. And I remember he was looking for advice. It was his legit. I'm sure if you did like the, what's it called, the time warp, you could like see how something was like way back when, the time back machine or way back machine, whatever it's called. You could probably see what I'm talking about on Lashley's site, the old days of his site. And you had so many people that were in there, and they pretty much were offering like words of encouragement, telling him what he should do and all that. And I remember I had came into the forum, and I told him, I said, "Hey man, I said, honestly, you got a really bright career ahead of you. You're still young, just stay healthy and all that. But like, dude, you definitely should like continue to pursue the career in wrestling." And as we all know, TNA had came, and it seemed like it was a pretty good arrangement. He was able to come and go from wrestling as he pleased. Well, you still got Michael Hayes there. So can bygones truly be bygones with one Michael Hayes? Is it truly water under the bridge? If you ask me straight up, do I believe that Michael Hayes is racist? No, I don't. He is just one of those guys that honestly has some soul. He understands um, the language, so to speak. I mean, come on, how many of us don't have that white friend that, you know, grew up with us in the neighborhood, and it's just a language that they picked up, and they see us walking down the street. It's like, "Yo, what's up, Jigga?" And you like, "Hey, what's up, Jigga? Where you been, dog?" And you just going back and forth like that. Never do you go, "Wait, what you call me?" And you like, oh, it's crazy. It's crazy sometimes when you just like, if you ask me if the word should be used, if it's wrong to use the word. I always am quick to tell you it depends on how well that person knows you, how much of a good, strong chemistry that y'all have with each other. And if y'all really got each other down like that, if you got a second guess whether or not you should embrace somebody, and you call them the N word, ending with the hard ER or ending with the A, if you got to take a second and think about whether or not it's okay for you to say that, then you probably shouldn't say it. I mean, if you can think just off the top of your fingers right now, all your friends, I mean, like you walking down the street and you know it. Okay. Y'all know pulp culture and all that. You know how people like to greet each other and all that. Okay, Fred. Oh yeah, he gonna call me the hard ER. I'm cool with him. Oh, they're cool. That Mike, yeah, no, he ain't gonna call me that. So I mean, if you really got to think about it, I mean, you probably shouldn't be saying it. You probably shouldn't be saying it. But if they could let bygones be bygones, I think that would be great. I mean, if you ask me personally, what I would like to see happen, not a Bobby Lashley returning to the Royal Rumble. What I personally would love to see happen is a scenario come about where somehow Brock Lesnar is able to retain the WWE Universal title come WrestleMania. And the night after WrestleMania, he's met with a new challenge, and it comes from one Bobby Lashley. If there was ever potentially a money-making kind of / dream match that you'd be able to do, fans have been infatuated for the longest time, especially in the MMA world itself, of seeing Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley square off one-on-one. I'm telling you guys straight up, if WWE is somehow able, because look, there's not that many more surprises that you could do right now. You got certain guys from Lucha Underground that would probably be a great fit in the WWE. They're all locked up right now in contracts, trying to renegotiate their deals. You got guys that's maybe in Impact Wrestling that WWE's like, we'd like to get a hold of them. Okay, but they're locked up right. Honestly, after the people that just left, they might not be looking at anybody else. They might be like, okay, we're good now. So you look at the current landscape. I mean, there's really not too many names that like can really jump out there. And then if you're thinking about who'd be a really cool opponent for one, Brock Lesnar, the list is kind of short. It gets a little bit recycled after a while. So, I mean, some people will be like, I'm not really, but you'd be surprised in the MMA world how many people wanted for years to see Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar. Similar backgrounds, I mean, through and through, upbringings, all the way. I mean, it's eerie freaking similar. And that's why so many people want to see it. So, I mean, if you ask me straight up, I would love to see a scenario come about where, and I got to mention him as well, because if I'm putting Bobby Lashley out there to potentially face Brock Lesnar, I also got to give a nod to my man, Ken Shamrock. I got to see Ken Shamrock get a program in there as well with a Brock Lesnar. I don't give a damn if it's a one-off joint. Let it be a one-off joint. You could do it just like Goldberg. Let it be a one-off joint just to see how it gauges the fans. And honestly, if there's something there, if there's buzz, if it sells at the gate, if it sells pay-per-views, if it gets you network subscriptions, and don't give me that lame bullshit. Oh, sign up for the WWE network right now, and you'll be able to see Bobby Lashley taking on Brock. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. Because we all know if it was a situation where these two were to get it on in UFC, your ass paying that money. Ain't no freebies. You paying that money. So if there was ever an opportunity to try to maximize on profit, that's how you got to do it. You want to see Bobby Lashley fight Brock Lesnar? You're only going to be able to see it on the WWE Network, pay-per-view as well. You're only going to be able to see it on the WWE Network. Subscribe now. No free months. That's another thing I want to see happen with WWE this new calendar year. Less free months. They got to do that less because it's getting ridiculous. It's getting out of hand. I recently had bought something from WWE Shop, and the guys jumped out there like probably about 3 weeks later, and they were like, hey, we wanted to give you a free 3-month subscription to the WWE Network. I'm going to myself, 3 months? So I'm going to be able to watch the 3 most important pay-per-views coming up for free? And I don't have to pay? Like, goddamn, like, why should I keep this subscription after WrestleMania? So, yeah, I'd like to see those scenarios come out. How did we get on the topic of Brock? Oh, we were talking about TNA releases and all that. So, but yeah, I mean, I would like to see Bobby Lashley come back, just not at the Royal Rumble. I'd like to see him show up like night after WrestleMania, quite honestly. That'd be a nice surprise right there. But we have a return to Impact Wrestling. Austin Aries. So he does that lame ass, God, what was it, a 20-minute promo? With what promotion, guys? Boy, that promo. I mean, it started off with cheers and all that, and then they just ripped him a new you-know-what. They let him have it. I mean, I felt bad for Austin Aries. I really, really did. I mean, but in retrospect, like, I'm hearing this promo that just seems like it's going off the rails, and I'm just kind of going, damn, dude, you sound like a dude that cannot get over that great piece of ass that you had going on for I don't know how many months. You sound bitter as hell. Like, dude, you need to let it go. You've moved on. They moved on. They ain't even got your phone number anymore, man. Like, be done with it, man. Be done with it. Let it go. Let it go, man. Like, why are you coming out there? And you just going on and on and on and on and on. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. Seriously. I felt bad for Austin Aries. I understood where he was coming from and all that, but I didn't like the promo. It was off the rails. But to hear him now back in Impact Wrestling and how he is now the Impact champion, I love it. I love it. I mean, honestly, Impact Wrestling was probably, honestly, if there was ever a company, hey, we believe in you. Yes, you should be the face. It was Impact Wrestling. And I got to tell you, business was actually pretty damn good when Austin Aries was the Impact champion. Now, no disrespect to my man Eli Drake. That's how I have to remember his name, because sometimes I like draw a blank, and as soon as I go like this, I remember all of a sudden. Eli Drake. You know, sadly, yeah, transitional champion. Stepped up at the right time for the company until management could figure out, like, okay, what do we do? Will he be Impact champion again? Yeah, he'll definitely be Impact champion again. But right now, all eyes need to be on Austin Aries. This is all about reestablishing the brand. This is all about reestablishing championships and all that. So I have no problem with them. Normally I would. But in this particular case, especially since Austin Aries was like, he really came into his own when he was in TNA. I will definitely give him that. I mean, he really almost kind of came off like a TNA original. Almost. If you weren't familiar with your wrestling history and all that, and you'd swear he was. So I'm fine with him. I'm fine with him being the champion. Another release that we got. Oh, hey, well, that's very nice. Shout out to our man Gino Morgan. He did the little super chat thing just now. We appreciate that, Gino. Thank you, my man. Appreciate that. And see when you do stuff like that, we give you some love, man. Boom. Let me see here. Bear with me a second here. No, I don't want to do that. There we go. Thank you, Gino. Appreciate that, man. Love you. What was I saying? This is how the show goes sometimes. I could be rolling and then I get a brain fart. We were talking about another departure from Impact Wrestling. What's my man's name? Chris Masters? KC Masterpiece. It is barbecue. Every single time I hear his name, I always think that. But no, Chris Adonis, Chris Masters, he left. He definitely could be back in the WWE. I could definitely see him popping up in the Royal Rumble. Honestly, he's another one I would not mind seeing, if not NXT, send him to SmackDown. And the reason why you send him to SmackDown, it just really kind of seems like SmackDown doesn't really have a good, strong enough section of male heels. Chris Masters? No, you're thinking Brian Cage. Brian Cage had came back to Impact Wrestling, Austin. Didn't he just join? Maybe well, let me see. Has it been a couple of months? No. He was with Impact Wrestling for probably about, what would you say, guys? Maybe about almost 7 months, give or take. Because the way they taped it, there was at least about 7 months worth of programming. So no, not really. He's gone. Yeah, he's gone like again. So would I like to see him back in the WWE? Yeah. He benefit tremendously in NXT, but SmackDown would work just as well. I don't want to see him. And shout out to Gino. Yeah, he left TNA, guys. I don't want to see him on the Raw flagship show, because if you really stop and think about it, there is so much that's compacted in 3 hours on Raw that so many people get lost in the shuffle. And I think a great example of that is the Revival. And sadly, what's really hurt the Revival the most is the injuries that those guys have been getting. Like, okay, one guy's back and it's like, okay, great. Now we can pick up where we left off. But then like less than a month later, oh, dude, you're injured. Oh, this sucks. And now both are off TV for like weeks or whatever. And then they come back and then the other one gets injured again. So it's pretty much like touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. Speaking of injuries, I got to make this point. I didn't get a chance to talk about it last week. I saw when it had broke out pretty much going into the weekend. And I thought it was kind of interesting how the report was put out there. But then people like the wrestling sites, once they got called on bullshit by me and other respected podcasters, that like, no, we're not drinking this Kool-Aid off the break. No. That's Paige. All right, so we get this report supposedly by PW Insider that says that according to their sources, that freaking Paige is done as far as being an in-ring performer. And so you're kind of going, wait a minute now, this is pretty huge. Like, who exactly are you citing? And like, when you basically go and and look at the freaking report that PW Insider had put out there, you're kind of going, okay, so they're not going on record and saying, hey, we spoke to a very reliable source within the WWE, or we spoke to a direct source with knowledge of blah, blah, blah within the WWE. They just, oh, well, according to our respected, that would be no different than you or me, like coming up with, well, according to our, and you, sadly, you have people that do that. If I don't know something, I would rather be like, I don't know. I always come at you, I say, this is my 2 cents from a distance, right? This report that came out, like I said on Twitter, and there are other veteran radio hosts, podcasters that follow wrestling that are literally saying the same thing that I have been saying since this report had first came about. Unless WWE and or Paige puts out a statement saying that her in-ring career is done, at least in the realm of the WWE, don't buy into it. Take what you're reading and hearing with a grain of salt. That's the straight up God's the honest truth. Now look at how the wrestling sites are trying to piggyback and basically CYOA, right? Now they're jumping out there and they're trying to say, oh, well, Paige hopes that maybe WWE will let her wrestle again. Yeah, they're trying to put their own little unique spin to it. Just to, no. You've already put silly crap out there that really was not verifiable. You ain't even got Dave Meltzer drinking that Kool-Aid. So the fact that you ain't even got Dave Meltzer yet being cited, and if he already has been cited, I don't know nothing about it yet. But last I checked, you ain't even got Dave Meltzer saying, yeah, Paige is done. So, like, and then even at that, I'm still going until you get Paige and or WWE putting out a statement. And then, of course, you got people that want to read into things. They want to psychoanalyze stuff. You get a black and white picture of Paige that she put up on her own Twitter account a couple of days after this supposed report, this scoop came about. Paige is just standing on the top turnbuckle, arms out in the air, looking at the crowd. No caption or anything like that. And it's got so many likes, so many retweets, and people are like, oh, it was nice while it lasted. It's like, no. For all we know, guys, she could be one of the participants in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match. You just don't know. You just don't know. Now, look, can we all be in agreement? If a scenario occurs where we have Paige on our television 2 months straight, 3 months straight, can we at least be in agreement that, okay, with regards to Paige in ring, kind of safe to say that WWE's being a little bit on the fence. Maybe it's touch and go. When you go 6 months, let's have that talk then. When 6 months have passed and Paige has not wrestled, safe to say she's done. If a year has passed and she has not wrestled in the WWE, safe to say she might be done, right? So, but I'm not going to feed into things right now. I'm not, neither should you guys. I mean, don't feed into all that garbage that you get, because the way these guys like to operate, sadly, it's all about the damn clickbait. That's what it's all about. The clickbait equals monetization for them. And you read typed a poorly inaccurate, falsified, wannabe piece of news. That's bogus. So please, just try to have an open mind. that'd be my 2 cents from a distance. Now, if her career is over, as far as the in-ring performer goes, it's not the end of the world. There's a lot of projects that Paige can be part of with the WWE. You know, she still has that multi-year deal with the WWE, but then again, maybe at this point, now it depends, right? So let's see what happens with that project she's doing with The Rock, the documentary about her. No, the what was it, autobiography? Yeah, a biography. Yeah, biography about her life, right? Her career in wrestling. So let's see what happens with that. Let's see what happens with. I'm sure she's going to have a potential return. It's like no duh to Total Divas next season. So let's see how all of those things come about. Let's see how WWE works into that. And I'm sure they're going to be paying attention to the amount of money that they're going to be able to potentially make off of her. And honestly, if they're still able to make a profit, she's going to be kind of almost like Corey Graves to a certain extent, but not like Corey Graves. Let's make sure we stress that. But touch and go, please, touch and go. Don't touch me. You can touch her and go, but you ain't touching me. Unless you're a hot lady like maybe Lisa Ann. I saw that comment there in the chat there. Somebody said Lisa Ann. Ricochet. How long does Ricochet last in NXT? Heard he was signed earlier today. God, now that would be a great NXT debut, by the way. Oh, yeah, I would love to see me some damn Ricochet. He was one of the first guys, wasn't he? That was like, man, I'm trying to get out of my Lucha Underground deal. Like, man, this deal is some BS, man. Hey, if you guys are enjoying the stream right now, and I know you are, do me a huge favor. Make sure you click the thumbs up if you're checking this out via YouTube. If you're listening to the show right now via Spreaker, make sure that you click on the heart/like icon. It really helps Spreaker with their back-end algorithm, man. Helps them out tremendously as far as trying to recommend what folks should check out in certain categories and all that good jazz. And I do have the Patreon page up over at the RCWR show. The more and more I'm thinking about it, I don't know. I'm not going to do it for the Sean Oliver books, but I'm probably going to kick on back and eventually I probably will do some exclusive contests for our Patreon members. But now that I've got even more free time for the next little bit, I'm definitely going to be posting more exclusive Patreon content. So finally, I'm going to be able to do some stuff later this week. So make sure you tune in. Subscribe to the Patreon account, man. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Again, that's patreon.com/RCWR show. Reminds me, I need to get into some shout outs real quick for our Patreon members. I love these guys tremendously because honestly, without these guys and the contributions that they continue to make to the RCWR show, some of what has been purchased equipment wise and all that just would not have been made possible whatsoever. So let me load this up real quick and we will dive into our, and it's not that many, so it's not going to be a situation where we got to be like, oh, we got to recognize, a gazillion freaking names and all that other stuff. We only got a couple of quick names. I want to get into this right now, so bear with me a second here, guys. Where are you guys? And I always have a hard time navigating this bad boy here. Let me see here. No. Here we go. Maybe it's this one. Yes. There we go. I got it, guys. Sorry for the delay. Shout out to Just In My PJs. I love that name. Shout out to John Davis. Shout out to Michael Wolf. And shout out to Joe Raymond. Once again, shout out to Just in My PJs, John Davis, Michael Wolf, and Joe Raymond. I appreciate you guys for continuing to be ongoing Patreon members. You guys are definitely in for treats this week with regards to more content that is going to be uploaded. The tier packages are going to be changed a little bit. There's going to be certain shows that will be available at a certain price. Now, I was talking about Impact earlier. I had saw this very interesting comment, and I'm gonna talk about this, and then we're gonna talk about Roman Reigns. And let me see how we're doing on airtime right now. So we're already at the 2 hour, 6 minute mark. All right, cool. And Reza, what do you mean, old man? What I'm looking too haggard over here, man? I'll shave in a bit. And yes, Goldberg was a big part of the Monday Night Wars. Totally, man. Totally. What was I talking about just now, guys? Jog my memory up a little bit. I can't remember what I was getting ready to talk it to. We mentioned Patreon, right? We mentioned the Patreon shout outs. Yes. So somebody had said, like, hey, bring back Impact Showdown reviews, or basically like bring back Impact Wrestling reviews. You could understand the trepidations that I have with regards to the Impact Wrestling product, as you've got talents that have just been leaving. And I mean, when you stop and really think about all the people that left in 2017 alone, I mean, you could go back as far as 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and be like, wow, Impact had them. And you're like, okay, so what's happening with it now? And you're like, damn, that's rough. Like, you can understand me feeling like I don't exactly want to jump on checking this out on a weekly basis, right? I would rather just casually jump in every couple of weeks, see if they got something. And if they pique my interest, I'm going, okay, let me see what you do next week. Okay, let me see what you do the next week. I like to be stringed along like it was in the old Impact Wrestling days, and that hasn't been happening these past couple of years. So that's why Impact Showdown, which covered strictly Impact Wrestling, has been on hiatus. It's not by design. It's just what's been happening with the Impact Wrestling promotion slash show itself. Not to mention, for the audience, there's not like a huge demand for Impact Wrestling, and I tell you, I found it kind of funny that we had a guy that was like, well, I'm gonna unsubscribe then, because what's the point of being subscribed to you if you're not going to talk about Impact Wrestling? It's like, mother lover, the last Impact Wrestling thing we did was like a year ago, right? And then before that, it was like 2 years ago, right? Impact Showdown's been on hiatus for a good minute, right? And normally, if I go into Impact Wrestling news, it's like on the podcast. So you were never really a loyalist to begin with, because true loyalists know, yeah, he does something on Tuesday nights. It's a podcast or something like that. So if I kind of want to get my wrestling fix, like, I'm just saying. So, like, this is my challenge to anybody that would like for me to do Impact Wrestling. You want me to talk about Impact Wrestling? A show dedicated or 15 minutes talking about what happened on that week's Impact Wrestling, right? This is my challenge to you. Anybody that pledges $5, a steady $5 on patreon.com/RCWR show, beginning effectively now, you pledge $5 monthly. And I think this is a damn good deal. Pledge $5 monthly, you will get Impact Wrestling reviews guaranteed. I don't give a damn if I'm doing Impact Wrestling reviews for one goddamn person. If that person is paying $5, as far as I'm concerned, and they say, hey, I want my Impact Wrestling, I want to know what you're thinking about the product. You were pretty spot on with some of your takeaways and all that. And, you know, I need some of that. Give me that. Okay. I don't care if it's one person, but that's my challenge. So at least you can say, I am trying to work with you guys. And I think that's a pretty damn good deal considering, because basically it's like you're getting 4 shows, right? You're basically paying almost like $1 a show. I think that's a pretty damn good fair deal. What about you guys? I'm just saying. So yeah, that's how we're gonna do that as far as Impact Wrestling goes. Y'all know Velvet Kitty might be a man now, right? Y'all better leave Velvet Kitty alone. You better leave my Velvet Kitty alone. Leave her alone. I gotta watch you guys. Y'all trying to pick people up, man. I'm watching you guys. Let's address the elephant in the room. So, with regards to Roman Reigns, oh my God. Not looking good, man. I first saw this report earlier today, and I'm kind of going, God damn, you can't be serious. It's not looking good. So for those of you that maybe had missed this, I want to recap some of this for you guys. So you have this former owner of the Iron Addicts Gym in Miami, Florida, by the name of Richard Rodriguez. He has implicated Roman Reigns as a client in a steroid distribution ring. Rodriguez also named actors Mark Wahlberg and Josh Duhamel as other customers in the ring. Now, to just give you guys a little bit of perspective, you had the DEA that raided this Iron Addicts Gym back February of last year, and they actually ended up arresting Rodriguez, accusing him of being involved in a distribution chain that imported goods from China, then manufactured illegal steroids in Arizona, then distributed them all throughout the Miami area. Reigns was suspended June of 2016 for violating the WWE wellness policy, as you all recall. And it turned out it was reported at that time he tested positive for Adderall, but apparently that was not a approved substance, at least by WWE standards, and we all know what pretty much how he came about that. So you have this guy named John Bravo, who has been working on a special to uncover the mystery behind the Iron Addicts Gym, and he had released a clip of a phone interview that he had with Rodriguez, who is currently serving jail time right now for all of this that came about. And when he talked about Roman Reigns, he pretty much had spoke of how one of his informants had introduced him to Roman Reigns and pretty much how he thought he was a really nice guy and everything. Now, one thing that should also be highlighted, which sadly was not stressed enough by the many wrestling websites, and this lets you know how, like, oh my God, well, this site had said, I'm going to fix this weekend. People on YouTube or Speaker, they can't see it, but the folks on YouTube, they're probably getting a chuckle. I have been battling my mic boom filter all night, and I'm just now like going, fuck it. You know what? One more time. I gotta have it. Let me try it one more time. Maybe it'll stay in place. Yeah. You gonna be a good girl? Okay, it's gonna stay in place now. No, but seriously, getting back on track there. I'm sorry about that. Getting back on track. One thing that was not highlighted from any of the wrestling websites, which lets you know who's actually like going and they're actually listening to the fucking video clip and they're actually, oh, hey, this is, like you'd be amazed how many people just copy and paste and they don't do their own freaking, okay, can we verify, is this what was actually said? Did we actually listen to the clip? Blah, blah, blah. And then, well, no, it came from this site, so we can just copy and paste. The one thing that was stressed by Rodriguez during this little snippet of an interview, which was about 13 minutes long, is that apparently he served other WWE stars. And I have a feeling that their names are gonna be like, because he's saying that like once this documentary comes out, like, and you're going, damn. So like Mark Wahlberg, Roman Reigns, like if he's got the proof, like these guys are like, they got some serious explaining to do. They've got to go in, they've got to do some damage control from a PR standpoint. So when you hear that Roman Reigns is like linked up to this, now look, WWE so far, last I checked, they have not put out any type of statement. But my good friends over at WrestlingInc.com, they did receive a statement. Fresh off the press. I love it when we're live on the air because we get breaking news, basically. All right. So, the way it's looking right now, hang on. Roman Reigns did respond to the steroid allegations. And he actually, who did he speak with? All right. So, it looks like it's safe to say that Roman Reigns has spoke with my good buddy Raj over from Wrestling Inc. Me and Raj, as you longtime listeners know, we go way back. Raj is a true professional, and he's now starting to build that cachet where he can get trust and with certain talents. And if there's something that needs to be put out there, setting the record straight or whatever, good to go. So Roman Reigns had this to say to Raj from Wrestling Inc., and I quote, "I have never heard of Richard Rodriguez or wellness, fitness, nutrition. I learned from the mistake I made nearly 2 years ago and paid the penalty for it. Since then, I've passed 11 tests as part of WWE's independent drug testing program." So, uh, you all gotta like figure out what you want to believe right now. But I mean, if I'm the WWE, and again, we should know Reigns was suspended June of 2016 for his first wellness policy violation, and he tested positive for Adderall. Okay, so you got Roman Reigns saying this. If I'm the WWE, and I'm sure that it's probably already happened, maybe there was some type of a conference call. If not a conference call, I seriously am under the impression that there was a conference call. I definitely feel that probably by this coming Monday's WWE Raw, maybe hours before, there's going to be a talk with McMahon, Triple H. I would imagine there's going to be something face to face. And I would like to believe that the powers that be in upper management are going to say to Roman Reigns, look, we need you to be 100 with us. You got to keep it real. Are you sure that this is a bogus story? Because if this is a bogus story, if there is not one shred of evidence that this guy may have on you, not one piece of evidence that this guy has on you, then we will do everything we can in our legal power to back you up to the fullest extent. But understand, if he's got something on you and it comes out, you're going to make us look really bad, and you are going to be in the doghouse. You thought what went down in 2016 was something that won't be nothing compared to, what's going to come about. And Roman could be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm telling you, nothing had went down. Like everything's cool. Nothing went down." If I'm the WWE right now, I would touch and go. I would actually touch and go with regards to this. And the way things are looking right now, WrestleMania on the horizon, looks as though Roman might be a lock to potentially win the Royal Rumble. Although personally, I don't feel he needs to win the Royal Rumble. I think it needs to be somebody else, like a Shinsuke Nakamura. That way we get Shinsuke, AJ Styles, WrestleMania. Uh, but so yeah, I just no. I think it would be ludicrous to have Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble. Would I be okay with it? You're basically trying to do the money making big main event match for WrestleMania, and we know we can smell it. Roman, Brock Lesnar. But now that you have this report that's floating around, I'm sorry, but if I'm the WWE, if I'm the legal team and all that, this definitely hinders any plans for Roman Reigns. I think at this point it needs to be a touch and go type of situation. I would be like running around right now trying to come up with some backup plans and wait until this documentary comes out. And then after the documentary comes out, whatever proof or something that this Rodriguez guy has, and I thought it was interesting, like, oh, well, I'm just gonna wait until the documentary comes out. Yeah, people will be able to check out. And it's like, okay, so wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. So let me see if I got this straight. You're in jail, and you've got all of these sensational things. You've got these connections. You got this who's who of who did what, and all this. And you're trying to do the right thing and just spread light to the situation, right? But you are gonna make people pay to see this. I have a big problem with that. I do. Now, if you were to tell me that 100% of the profits is gonna go to St. Jude's, or it's gonna go to some type of help fight drug abuse, drug addiction, or what, it's gonna go to something, I'd be like, okay, 100% proceeds are okay, cool, I'm down with that. But no, the impression you're leaving me with right now is, oh yeah, I dive into who all is implicated on my DVD or in my new book. It's got like a Steve Bannon type of vibe for it, man. And I don't really like that. I don't know about you guys. I don't really like that. So I kind of question this, but if I could give any type of advice to WWE, and they probably will go this route, they need to tread lightly with Roman Reigns, and they need to just kind of be a little bit cautious and try to get some type of timetable on what's going on with this documentary. I'm quite sure that WWE lawyers and all that, they will be getting in contact with this guy. They will be getting in contact with this Bravo dude, because you could definitely bring litigation against Bravo as well for financing this, putting it together. Anybody that because a lot of these guys nowadays, they're doing Kickstarters and all of that. I would tell you guys, do not chip in not one goddamn red cent to this guy. Because if you ask me for my 2 cents from a distance, this just kind of feels like a fucking con job. Um, as long as I have been looking at Roman Reigns from a distance, Roman Reigns, for the most part, has always had like the same type of build. I would be surprised if it was at any time if Roman had did steroids. The guy just comes off like naturally. He's building he's building, lifting weights. He's getting his build up there, like eating the right things, getting enough rest, taking in the right amount of carbs. I would actually be pretty shocked if he was operating in that fashion at any point and that he actually was having some type of dealings with this guy. I mean, look, dude, you're in prison. Like, if you're really trying to do the right thing and you're trying to shed light on a situation and you're going to hook up with a director, I'm sorry, but like, and unless it was stressed and it wasn't emphasized, I apologize if I missed it, but I don't think I missed it. If you're going to be dropping names on a documentary, I mean, let that be my black ass. If I'm already doing the time and I ain't got nothing else to lose except time, and I have time to reflect, and I'm going, okay, you know what? I already spoke with the DEA. I told them everything that I know and blah this, blah that. Well, now I'm going to go on ahead and, I'm going to tell my side of the story, how things came to. And look, I'm just going to mention some names and like, that's it. I got nothing to gain from it. I'm doing jail time. Y'all take the info. Y'all do what you want with it. But like, this is what went down. These were the players. I'm doing it just to let you know, like, these people you suspect. Like, no, honestly, it just comes off like a punk bitch move. Straight up. I'm being honest with you guys. It comes off like a straight up punk bitch move. It reminds me of that song a week ago from Jay-Z. It's like shit was all good just a week ago. Funny how a week changed. A week ago, you was a stand-up man. Now you in jail, dropping names. Shit was all good just a week ago. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that damn song, quite honestly. It's like, because now your hands got caught in the cookie jar. Now you trying to be like, oh, well, what about Mark Wahlberg? And look, anybody can look at that one movie that Mark Wahlberg had did with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Was he swole or was he swole? When you see him look like that, says Marky Mark days in the 80s. Good vibration. All right. So it's safe to say that maybe Marky Mark did a little something. He got mad weight. Roman Reigns, mad weight. If you're gonna be dropping names, you need to have proof. You need to have solid freaking proof. My bullet points for you all that's going to go on ahead, entertain yourselves, check out this documentary that's eventually going to be coming out. Look for this. If all he's doing is hearsay, accounts and all that, that don't mean nothing. What you need to be looking out for is his lawyers. You need to be looking for his lawyers to say, hey, look, we saw the proper documentation, we saw the trail, and everything does connect to. We need to be looking and hearing stuff like that. If all we got is a guy kind of like, what was that Spanish dude's name that was in that documentary Cocaine Cowboys Reloaded? The one that was doing all the killing for Isabella Blanco, or damn it, I can't remember her name right now. But those of you that saw Cocaine Cowboys Reloaded, the girl I'm talking about, she was called the Black Widow, and she had Rico, I want to say was his name. He was doing all those killings for her. Like, if it's a situation where this dude is just kicking back and he's in a chair and he's just saying like, oh, this is what went down and blah this, blah that, that's hearsay. Let's hear from his lawyer. You're right. Let's hear that. Oh no, we have the documents. We have them at our office. I would imagine WWE is going to be getting in contact with these guys very, very shortly. There may be some type of a cease and desist joint until they actually get their hands on it. Because, see, sadly, the reason why I'm going on and on about this, if you cannot prove this, if you don't have the paper trail, then guess what? This is defamation of character. It would be like me. I'm just gonna pick on a random person in the chat, so don't take it personal. It would be like me picking on DJ and saying that DJ likes sleeping with 5-year-old kids. And like that ain't freaking true. That's not true whatsoever. Like, well, what the hell? Like, damn, man, why would you say that? Damn, Lee, that's damn. And it's like, well, what proof do you have? Well, I heard. Well, that's hearsay, right? So unless I have actual proof that DJ like sleeping with little kids, little 5-year-old kids, then what I just did to DJ was defamation of character that you could also tack on to that pain and suffering, emotional stress and all that. DJ could take my ass to court and he can get a hefty goddamn payday. All right. So this Rodriguez dude, this Bravo dude, I really hope they got everything crossed off. Otherwise, WWE, they're going to be shutting that ass down big time. And as far as if Mark Wahlberg, I see a question being asked if Mark Wahlberg had anything to say with regards to this. And you kind of feel for Mark Wahlberg. 2018 hasn't been kicking off good for him so far because he had the whole thing that went down with the inflated salary. I can't remember the movie right now because he basically had to reshoot scenes and he basically got like $1 million and the female co-star. I think like her joints equaled like to like $100 or something. And everybody was like, man, that's sexist. That's so messed up. And Mark Wahlberg was like, okay, my $1 million, I'm giving it to charity. Bump it. So like, nah, like the way it's looking right now, Mark Wahlberg, no statement yet from Mark Wahlberg. I mean, I'm sure something is, well, actually, you know what? Something came about 2 hours ago. I'm seeing something from the Wrap, and yeah, he did say something. It looks like, yeah, he spoke with the Wrap actually. Looks like it was, let me look here. Yeah. He said in a short statement, these accusations are completely false. And he also said, I'm not trying to monetize anything at all. Rodriguez said when asked by Bravo why he's naming names. And you have quote, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to clear my name. The bust at my company did not just involve one person. It was a slew of individuals. And one of the names he mentioned was Mark Wahlberg. This is an individual that's very well known and will help me in extending into a market that I'm very interested in, Rodriguez said, referring to the market of A-list celebrities. The individual's name is Mark Wahlberg. He used to get creative with ways to which to ship the particular products to certain countries and areas where we can receive the products, but not necessarily under his name, Rodriguez said of Wahlberg, who alleged that used aliases like a doctor's name or a female name to receive the product. Wahlberg was a really good person, but it started to get more in depth, our relationship. He just started to become a little bit more demanding. I just chose to, once I started to see his true colors, sever my ties. And again, like to give you an idea, when he did that movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Pain and Gain, he packed on 40 pounds of muscle. 40 pounds of muscle. So, but no, he put out a short statement. All he said to the Wrap was the accusations are completely false. So, like I said, man, y'all got to question this Rodriguez dude. You also got to question this Bravo dude. And when you look at this Bravo dude, notice how big this dude's arms are. So I really hope during the process of this documentary, how he's talking about how he's trying to help enhance and put the spotlight on blah 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 blah. Well, I hope the young man is also able to put the spotlight on himself and talk about, his arms, which are huge as fuck. I hope he's able to, like, hey, look, yeah, at one point I definitely had used blah blah blah. I did a little bit of jail time for selling, a little bit of distribution and all that, but now this is what's going on with me. And I mean, I kind of got that vibe from him, but I just it smells bad all the way around. Now you just heard what you heard about this dude Rodriguez, and it's like, wait a minute, you're trying to clear you got caught. Well, what more is there to it? It's like you're mad because you went down. It's like, whose name was tied to the company at the end of the day? Who was the one that was going out there basically acting like the Avon lady and networking yourself to other people? But in this case, what you had wasn't makeup, what you had was illegal freaking drugs. Like, whose fault is that at the end of the day? And now you want to, like, you better have the documents. Otherwise, whatever money you got laying around in your checking savings, he asked me straight up. I think he's just trying to generate some money off of this documentary, boys and girls, so he could get that canteen money, because after all, the prison food, it ain't banging, right? So he's probably trying to make sure he gets some Suzy Q's, some ho-ho, some ding-dongs, some Hostess cupcakes and pies and chips and ramen noodles and all that other stupid little bullshit, so he don't have to eat the prison food. I feel personally that's what's going down. So we'll see what happens in a couple of months with that. I'm definitely going to be staying on top of that. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I want to get into. I do want to talk about that TV show Black Lightning before we get ready to wrap it up for tonight. Real quick, like, as far as expectations for Monday's WWE Raw, man, I feel it's going to be fantastic. Speaking of Raw, we're going to see how good my friend Epic Sports is paying attention. Sometimes I like to test him to see how far he listens. Stupid booking 101. I don't need to go into overkill. Let me see if I got this straight. Braun Strowman did what he did last week. He gets fired. He is on a warpath backstage, destroying things left and right, messing up people left and right. Does the thing with the semi truck. Comes on out and is getting ready to, like, kill Michael Cole. And then we have Kurt Angle come out and he goes, hey, I just got off the phone with Stephanie McMahon. And she said, it's okay. Like, you're okay. You're okay. You're not fired anymore. You're reinstated. You're back in the title picture at the Royal Rumble for the triple threat match. Okay. You're back in. It's a triple threat match again. You're back in for the Universal title. So you don't have to do any more of this anymore. You can let Michael Cole go. And yet Braun Strowman still physically did what he did to Michael Cole. I mean, that was just a clear case of stupid booking 101. And, like, it would have been one thing if you'd have had, here's how that could have been saved. You should have had Stephanie McMahon, and she could have easily done her parts via the phone. You didn't need her there. You could have had it be a tape segment from earlier. That's how you could have did it. You could have easily shown a segment later on, and Kurt Angle is on the phone, and he goes, my God, Steph, did you see what Braun had did to Michael Cole? Yes, I did, but how is Michael? Is he okay? It looks like the other guys kind of were able to catch him there. Otherwise, that fall would have been much worse. Yeah, he's a little bit bruised up. He's getting checked out at the hospital as we speak. Steph, look, I have a lot of respect for you and the family, and I appreciate y'all giving me the vote of confidence here as the Raw general manager, and I hate to question authority. I mean no disrespect, but Steph, considering everything that Braun had did, why? Why, Steph? Would you give him this match? Why would you reinstate him? And if she would have simply said, storyline wise, because Kurt, if we would have fired him, SmackDown would have picked him up. And there's a lot of weeks where SmackDown has the better product than us. The last thing I want is to give Daniel Bryan and my brother Shane another notch that they can add on their belts. I am all in for competition. And you always need to remember that at the end of the day, we are competing with those guys on that other show. So I understand why you wanted to get rid of them and everything, but you got to look at the bigger picture. And that would have been a huge game for SmackDown. Okay, Steph, I totally understand where you're coming from. Okay, I get that. And look, Kurt, I'm going to talk to my dad. We're going to talk to the board members, and we're going to take a second glance at Braun Strowman's contract. We're going to see how the wording is and everything, and if there's any loopholes. And I promise you, if we can exploit it, we're definitely going to make sure that if we're able to, we'll put a new clause in the contract that'll state he can't put his hands on any officials. And if he does, there's going to be some severe consequences going forward. But, he's back for now. If they would have did it like that, I would have been fine. But that was a pure case of stupid booking 101 that I didn't like it. I didn't like it one little bit. It was stupid. So other than that, yeah, I think other than that, only other thing I want to get into, yeah, we pretty much did good. I watched Black Lightning earlier tonight because I didn't get a chance to check it out yesterday. I was pretty sick. Fantastic show. Fans of Luke Cage, you're gonna dig it, man. You got to check it out. I have not been into a series on the CW since Smallville had ended, and I was pretty pissed how Smallville ended. To the point, Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum are actually going to be coming to DC's Awesome Con this year. So my fingers are crossed. I'm hoping that maybe I could score some interviews with these guys before or during Awesome Con, because that would be freaking badass. So keep your fingers crossed. And I just want to pick their brains on the finale, quite honestly. So we'll see what happens. But I know that's going to be one of the questions I'm going to be asking a lot of folks, since they're going to be there, is how about that ending of Smallville? But like ever since the end of Smallville, I vowed never again. I was not going to watch another DC Universe / CW live adaptation of a comic book series. I was never going to do it again. But I saw the trailers for Black Lightning all throughout the city in the most coolest ways, posters and all that. And I kind of was like, okay, this seems kind of interesting. And then I did my research on the character, saw how it went back to like the late 70s, early 80s. And I'm kind of like, wow, okay. Saw the different reboots that it had got. And I found the latest one very appealing. Saw the trailer. I'm like, okay, watched the first episode. I loved it. I loved how they took elements that was happening. It kind of had like a Chicago vibe to it. Like every time you turn around, somebody's always getting gunned down, and there's always these violent events that's happen about the protesting that's going on, the tension between the police and inner city neighborhoods, and how Black Lightning just fits into the whole realm. I gotta tell you, my man Cress Williams, who plays Black Lightning, he does a superb job as the lead role. I remember this guy when he was on NYPD Blue. I remember him on Living Single. I also remember him on, I think he was on Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. Those are my earliest memories of him. Actually, I mean, he's been around for a good minute, to the point he's in his late 40s. So he's a respected actor. He's done a little bit of directing of his own, and him as Black Lightning, I love it. I love it. They cast him perfectly for that role. And if there's another person that I would maybe like to see at Awesome Con, I would love to see him, just to get 5 minutes to pick his brain and ask him how he's been enjoying coming on over to the comic book world so far. I would love it. And the other thing that I like, that I find to be very refreshing about Black Lightning right now, is that they're not doing who's the villain of the week. It looks like they're doing an ongoing saga. I won't like go too much more into it, but for those of you that were like pretty big fans of Luke Cage, and you're like waiting patiently for season 2 of Luke Cage to come about, and you need something to kind of tie you over until it comes about, I would highly recommend you check out Black Lightning. Tammy's gonna actually be watching it with me. Even though I watched it, I told her, I said, you gotta watch this with me. She's gonna watch it with me again later this week. And I don't know, maybe we could like do something together where we'll talk about it for like about 10-15 minute tops or whatever, and see how it does. But you guys got to check that out when you get a chance. I see Jay Uso had also gotten in trouble as well. Looks like there was a DWI thing that had went down with him. I don't know what is up with the Usos, but every time you turn around, man, it's like, if it ain't driving while under the influence, it's speeding, and I don't know what the hell is going on, but this doesn't look good. I mean, just when I thought the Usos were really starting to like, okay, they're taking things seriously. They got this new ride of momentum that's in their favor right now, and this crap happens. It don't look good. It just does not look good. They may be in the doghouse for a little bit. And I see the story about Eva Marie, how it's like sensationalized by TMZ and other outlets. Basically, she said that like before she had signed with the WWE, she was an alcoholic, and it was really bad. I mean, she was just in a totally different place, and WWE had actually like kicked in a little bit of money to help her with her rehab and all that. And she's continuing to go to AA meetings every single week. I mean, she's doing it basically, and she gets it. She's been sober now for 5 years, but she gets it. She knows that. That's what I'm talking about. When you connect the dots and you go back to what I was saying a couple of weeks ago about Justin Credible, about how just because you feel like you got the tools that you needed from AA, like it doesn't mean that you're cured. You're never cured. You know, once an addict, always an addict, and you just got to somehow string it together one day at a time. And knock on wood, what's going on right now for Eva Marie is it's really awesome. Quite honestly, I mean, 5 years of sobriety, that's great. And she's surrounding herself by positive energy. That's the other thing that you got to think about. The fact that she's able to uh, get involved with all of these different projects, movies, part of the gaming world to a certain degree, fashion line. I mean, girl's got her hand dipped into a little bit of everything. Seems like she has a really good, strong support system, boyfriend slash fiance, husband, or whatever he's called for that respected day or week. But no, seriously, like as young as she is, she gets it, boys and girls. She gets it. And that's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. So, I mean, I hope for a guy like Justin Credible, I hope he comes across that story and, if anything, kind of gravitates towards her and maybe finds a sobriety friend and, somebody that could be part of that positive inner circle and give those good words of encouragement. But also, no one understands you more than an individual that has gone through your struggles as well and could definitely relate to what you went through. And there is a kindred spirit that's there. Now, I know he's doing his thing at DDP Yoga and he's doing his thing with Diamond. I have no doubt that it should be success. I mean, if Credible really wants it, then it's going to happen for the man straight up. It's going to happen straight up. So we'll see. But I just thought that was a great read about Eva Marie. I really, really did. And just to know that she's in a much happier place now. Her leaving WWE, I mean, you could also look at that as another, hey, look, she could have just been kicking back, making a boatload of money, but she just decided, you know what? Psh, bump this. Like, yeah, I want to continue to pursue happiness. It's not exactly all positive here. I'm ready to move on to bigger and better things. And ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So on that note, we pretty much got into everything and a little bit more on the show tonight. I really hope you guys had enjoyed it. We went just a little bit longer than anticipated, but your next edition of the RCWR show is actually going to be coming at you guys Monday night. I want you to remember now, Monday night, as soon as Raw 25 goes off the air, come on here exclusively on YouTube only. Again, YouTube only. Next Monday night, the 22nd, I'm going to come on after Raw 25 goes off the air. We will talk about the fun festivities that came about. But then Tuesday, the 23rd, you will get your regular live webcast podcast edition of the RCWR show as well. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, here on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Give me those likes. Leave the comments. And especially if you're watching this on demand. Sadly, once the stream ends live on YouTube, all the great interactions that we get from you guys, it's not there on demand. So, and that really sucks. I hope that going forward, YouTube is able to work out on some stuff like that. I'm just looking at some of the comments you guys had said briefly here. And luckily, I don't see any comments, but you know what? Again, shout out to Gino for his dollar contribution. Shout out to Velvet. Shout out to Daniel. Shout out to Mr. Seymour. Shout out to Austie. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to DJ as well. Shout out to Reza. Am I missing anybody else? I don't think I am, but if I am, shout out to our Patreon members as well, man. Shout out to those guys as well. And other than that, yeah, we did good, man. All right. That's it. The show is done. YouTube, I'm wishing you guys to be safe. Be kind to one another. I will check you guys out next Monday night after Raw 25 here on YouTube. Holla at you later.